and National Parent Union. I hope you're all well. I hope you're all thriving. Hello to America's beautiful children. We love you. And so happy Friday. You made it. You've been managing moment by moment, day by day. Celebrate that. We're making it, we're doing it, and we're doing well. I had to, before we bring out the counselor for Ask the Counselor Fridays, I had to say that, I had some tough experiences through this week. And basically, I had to shift my mindset on not the challenges, but what can I do, right? What can I do to overcome and continue to press on and press forward? And so shifting that mindset from feeling like I was just being defeated into here is what I do control, and here is how I can continue to press forward. What I don't control, I'm just gonna not even focus on that, but I'm gonna provide a solution and do what I can. And so I just wanted to give you guys hope that even when you have challenges, you can still overcome. There are certain things that you control, certain things you don't, but once you have your mindset that I'm gonna look for what I can do, then, it makes the situation better. So I hope that brings you hope. I have today, as on Fridays, Kishana Christopher. Hello, Kishana.
Hi, can you hear me? I guess we have a technical difficulty, but I'm here. I'm happy to see you all.
Good. And so for those who don't know you and maybe have not been watching, can you just say briefly who you are and what you do? And that way people can know who you are.
Yes, so I am a school counselor at this moment in time. I've been a school counselor for about 15 years. I'm serving pre-K through college in one of the largest school districts in California. And in addition to that, I also have a marriage and family therapy degree, and consider myself both a school counselor and an MFT. So I bring an increased level of support, guidance for families, along with my experiences in the education field and things that I've seen and noticed, and how to better service children and families, and how to be a better parent to my own children who are also school aged right now. And then I have 2 more adult children. So I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad you're here. And we've been talking about, so we've been talking about doing the self-assessment, the self-evaluation tool, right? And then moving into the resiliency portion of that. Don't just stop at the self-evaluation piece. And so just go ahead and talk about what it is that you want to start off with today.
Yeah, and so just for those who are just tuning in this first time and haven't been able to see the other prior shows, I just want to stress that what we're talking about today is adverse childhood experiences and how to be resilient from them, and how to model resiliency to your children if they have experienced them, or if you've experienced them as a parent. And so today I wanted to just discuss a few more ways, because when we practice, we get better at things. And this may be a new concept for those who may not have known about the term resiliency, what it means, or maybe you know about it, but you have questions about, like, how can I be resilient? What does it actually look like for me, a parent, and how to model that? And just wanted to go over the word resilient. If you look at that word in print or say the word in the middle has seal in it, seal, S-E-A-L. And what I saw in that word is that within that word resilience is what you do to seal off yourself or your family or your children, to protect and guard and create a buffer zone from adverse childhood experiences or adverse reactions to trauma. And so today what I want to share is a few ways that parents can use as tools and methods to model resiliency. And what I heard you say, Christina, earlier about your challenges over the week and how you accomplished or how you got through that was not to give up on the situation, not to feel defeated about the situation, but to ask yourself, what in this situation can I control and what can I do? Little, small, great, whatever it is. So you ask yourself, and that's a good way to show resiliency because you're exercising individual and personal competencies of development. And what's involved in that is problem solving skills, how you self-regulate, and how you model your own agency, like how you speak for yourself or do for yourself instead of being helpless or throwing a pity party or showing inappropriate responses.
Yeah, because, you know, you just think of all of the negative things that come with that, right? Like feeling like helpless, throwing a pity party, all of those things. I'd rather try to find a solution than to be stuck in that stuff, right? Because then I don't want to be sad. I don't want to be feeling helpless. I don't want to be feeling like, you know, there's just no hope. Like that's not a good place to be either. So, you know, I appreciate the value in what you're saying.
Yeah, so finding that balance and increasing your own individual development and your competencies and how you move in the world is going to help you to model the best forms of resilience for your children. Another thing that I wanted to point out, looking at my list, is identifying close relationships with those who are competent to help you with solving your problem. And by that, I mean they have a vast level of experience, or they are trained and qualified to help you or your children. Because sometimes, you know, with our very best intentions as parents, we don't do the checks on, like, is this the most competent person that I should have my family around, or I should have my children around, or I should be around right now? Because what does this model for my child? What does this model for my family? What does this mean in terms of our family identity? Is this congruent with it or not? And so that's a good way to show and express modeling competent relationships that will increase your level of development for your children and for you, and decrease the level of trauma.
You know, and I have to say that that's very important, because you don't want to just be around people that will confirm and reaffirm your negative thinking and maybe misbeliefs. You want to be around people that are going to help you grow and develop and progress and challenge some of those thoughts, right? Challenge some of that, those issues that you may have been faced with, but show you maybe the light. That's the best way I can say it. Like, here's the light. And so there's wisdom and counsel, having an accountability partner even. And I don't think the best person to be your accountability partner is someone that's going to reaffirm your bad thoughts. That's all I'm going to say.
No, and you have a good point, because your internal beliefs are either part of what is causing you to be resilient or part of what's keeping you stuck. And so when you reinforce by having those competent people around you, the parts that are going to help you to be successful instead of the parts that are going to keep you stuck, then you're doing a great service to yourself and to your children.
Right. So watch where you're planting yourself. Watch where you're planted, because that's what you're going to grow, right? And so, and your children are going to be planted wherever you're planted. And so we want to be in the right places and around the right people. And then also offering wisdom and counsel back to people that may be having some challenges is also a great way to see that growth and development and that progress.
Yes, I agree with that too. One of the other ways to help to model resilience as a parent and to your children is to get to know a lot about their ages and stages of development, and their social emotional development, how that works for children. Because, you know, so many times adults are busy, they're working, they're trying to take care of home, doing the best they can, and those very things may get overlooked unintentionally. And what we want to do is make sure that we are intentional about having knowledge about our children, about their social emotional development, and also their brain development.
You know, and this is something that is very important because we know our children best, right? And, you know, some people might think that a behavior or whatever that your child is displaying is a point of immaturity, because it could be something totally different, right? And so understanding your child's gifts, talents, abilities helps you advocate for them more when you go to the doctor, when you're talking to educators, whatever that may be, because you know their areas of strengths and weaknesses. You recognize some triggers and some behavior, and are able to talk about that more effectively than other people saying that for you.
That's true, and that is why it is so important for you to know, because if you don't have the knowledge, or at least some knowledge of your child's development and where they're at in their stages, and also their social and emotional development, then anybody can tell you
Right.
what it is that they see in your child, versus you knowing, because you are the first teacher and expert on your child in the home.
Right. But we don't want that dictated to us about our
No.
kids.
No, you want to be the type of parent that says, look, I know my child's habits. I know his or her behavior. I know where he's at with the social and emotional development, because I've researched, because I've done the observations, because I know. See, anytime that educators need to make an assessment, they're going to observe over a period of time, you know, what they are looking for, or what tendencies they see or don't see. And so as a parent, how much more could you do that as a parent, when that educator probably has hours or less each day with your child, when you have way more time, a lot more time than those educators do with your child. So that means that you've seen a lot more, and your contribution to their social emotional development is the most important, if not is the most important contribution. So just wanted to reiterate that, the importance of that and why it's important.
And I have a medical example that I'd like to use really briefly. You know, my children suffer from allergies and asthma, and the medical professionals were trying to dictate to me what that looks like, right? Like, no, this is not an allergic reaction, but this is. And I said, listen, I have had these children, like, I didn't see you guys in the hospital when I had them. So let's either, you're going to respect my role as their parent, or I'm going to have to find a second opinion. But my children sometimes will get a fever with their allergies. And although the medical professionals have said that's not connected, I watched this over a period of 14 years. And then a period of 9 years. And so you may not see it as connected because you're using this cookie cutter recipe, right? I'm talking about specifically what is happening with my child, and I need you to look at outside of your cookie cutter recipe and understand their individual body reacts this way. And so I've had to have this conversation even amongst medical professionals.
Yes. So thanks for sharing that, because that's important for other parents to hear, and knowing exactly how to advocate. Don't be afraid, and don't feel like your contribution, your input is not valid, because it is the most important input that an educator or healthcare provider can have about your child. Yes. Another way to show and model resiliency is to, and I think we mentioned this last time, make sure that your knowledge of self and your knowledge of your purpose can also be seen by your children. Because even if your purpose is you know, I'm the manager of this home. I'm the head of this home, and these are my responsibilities and duties, and this is my purpose. If they see that commitment, that will show them that this is the way to be committed to something. This is the way you show you care about something. This is the way to invest your time in what you care about. This is the way that you handle and treat something that is of value to you. And those are all resilient modelings for your children. Your faith, your culture, and your personal identity. These are all things that children need to see modeled for resiliency.
Modeling is important because it allows you to set the tone, right? You as the leader of the household, or over the children, allows you to set a tone, and they understand that this is the way that we operate. And outside of that, they would not go outside of that to operate it, or it would bring them discomfort, because they understand, like, this is our identity, this is our culture, this is our faith, this is the tone that we set in our family and in my household, and this is what I'm modeling to you because this is the tone that we have set. And so I think that really helps to establish the norms and different things, that value system that you want injected into your family.
Yeah, and just to reiterate that the reason for this is to make sure you're providing that seal of resilience around your family, to seal off anything that may have received a void due to trauma or hurt or toxic stress over long periods of time. And so just think about it as a wound, and what you do if would do if one of your children hurt their arm and scraped it and needed to have it cleaned off. So that wound represents an opening. What you would do is put either some ointment on it as one barrier, and then a Band-Aid as a protective seal. And no, we're not talking about a Band-Aid approach, but just an example of how to seal things off so that they can heal. And then that buffer zone will still be there. That skin that grows back to protect, it's still going to be there as another buffer zone and the added layer of protection. And so that's what we're doing when we are modeling resiliency for our children.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So in addition to just going over some more of my notes, the reasons why we are doing this, the reasons why, just for in case anyone's just tuning in today, we want to increase the positive health outcomes for our children. We want to increase their brain development, and we want to decrease the amount of traumatic experiences or adverse childhood experiences that they may see in their life. Because in doing that, then you're setting them up and protecting them from chronic illnesses, serious illnesses, further social emotional disabilities or problems in the future. You're shielding them from a wide array of alcoholism, smoking, those type of inappropriate habits, if you make it a point to model resiliency. Because what could happen is, if a child does not see that and does not have that model for them, is that they'll begin to perpetuate that behavior wherever they are. And you don't want that to be a way of coping. That can turn into a bad coping skill for them if they are exposed to things and they haven't been repaired.
Right. And so can you give some examples, like we had talked about in the first part of this series, of adverse childhood things or the trauma that people experience and they tend to go into the next generation that
yes,
we're dealing with?
Yes. So if some of the questions on the ACEs are, have you ever experienced someone in your household swearing at you, insulting you, or putting you down, or humiliating you, or or acting in a way that was physically threatening towards you? Another one is, often or very often, has anyone pushed, grabbed, thrown things at you, hit you, or caused injuries? Another question is, has any adult or someone 5 years older than you had any sexual contact with you? And another one is, have you had family that you felt, they didn't love you, didn't treat you special, didn't look out for you, you didn't feel close or supported by them? Number 5 is, have you gone days without food, dirty clothing, feel like no one is there to protect you, or they were either too drunk or high to care for your basic needs? Are your parents divorced or separated? Have you witnessed your mother or stepmother being abused? Have you lived with a problem drinker or drug user? Do you have you had any household members that were considered depressed or mentally ill or attempted suicide before? And finally, have you had anyone in your household go to prison? And so I believe I've mentioned that, you do this questionnaire only to see where you're at, not to judge and deem yourself as invaluable or useless, or, you've gone through too much and you're damaged goods. That's not why you do the questionnaire. You do the questionnaire to make sure that, this is where you came from and what level of resiliency you need to protect yourself from this and anything that can come with these type of cyclical behaviors.
Right. That then in turn, affect our children. And so it's actually a good thing, because you have this piece that brings a revelation and awareness, understanding where you're at. And then you have the piece that can bring that healing, and that repair, and just help you to become more fortified. The seal, I like that you use that root word seal, because I think of how can we be well-rounded, but at the same time be fortified, right? Creating barriers and healthy boundaries, setting norms that say we don't accept toxins in this environment or our family ecosystem, just the way that we operate. And being fortified is definitely good. Your children will be able to bounce back, to be able to be overcomers, to be able to even understand who they are, just that identity piece, so that no one's dictating to them anything. And us modeling that is the best way that we could do that. And, I have to say that when you're going through this process, I think it's very important that you celebrate small victories and milestones of progress. That way you'll see where you came from and where you are.
Yes, agreed. And so I wanted to share just a quick resource. I think I shared it last time, but I wanted to reshare because this website happens to be offering free lessons for families to do regarding social and emotional health. And so I wanted to invite parents to do these lessons. I've done them before in classrooms, and it's called Second Step. And if you just spell the word out, second, and then step all together, you'll be able to find on that website resources. They'll give you a activation code for free use right now to certain units. And they will really, really help you and your family to come together, to show how resilient you are and model this resiliency as their expert at home.
So Second Step, one word, right?
Yes.
Okay, and that is a website for mental health resources, or
it's a social emotional website for curriculum. And what they're doing right now is offering families free units to teach their families social and emotional supports, like coping skills, problem solving skills, self-regulation,
I typed that
Exactly.
in the field for
Okay.
anyone that is looking for that information. It will be there.
Yes.
And then, did you have more that you wanted to share about the
No, I
resilience?
was just gonna say they have them for, it's set up for all grade levels.
Okay,
So it
cool.
goes from pre-K all the way up through 12th grade.
That's great. That's great information. That's good news. Thanks for sharing that. And so what can you give us an assignment? I think that that's going to be my assignment, to go on the second step website, and get that kit and start that process. But, can you give us an assignment for this upcoming week? That way we will be mindful on how we're applying what you're talking about.
Yeah, so an assignment could be write down ways that you have sealed off and put in protective barriers for your children if they've experienced ACEs. Write down ways that you have modeled resiliency. And one of the examples, again, as Christina mentioned, um, she chose to find a way that she could fix the problem instead of looking at the problem as a loss. So it was just the way she handled it was a more resilient form, even if her methods were even minimal to try and attempt to solve the problem. It was still her showing that I'm not going to have this I give up attitude, I throw in the towel, it's useless, and not try to work through issues or conflicts. So those are two things. That
Right.
should be enough. Um, first, first model or first document how you are ways you are protecting or sealing off your family from ACEs, and write down ways that you've shown and modeled resiliency. And if you did try this, that would be another homework assignment. Try one of these lessons. Try one
Mm-hmm.
of these units. Just see how it goes. See what you find. See what you're, what did you learn yourself? Because as an educator and counselor, I've learned a lot just by teaching these lessons to
Oh, yeah.
children. On a daily basis, that the resources and the mindset, the change with all the practice and repetition of going through these lessons really help me to be a better teacher to children and parents.
And that is one way to master something, is by teaching what you learn, by applying it, right? And so I totally agree. Can you tell people how to find you if they want to have a more private or personal conversation for help?
Yes, I'm available by email, and the email, can you type it in? miss.kishana@gmail.com. Please email me with any questions you might have. I'd be happy to respond back to you.
MS.
Kishana@gmail.com.
All right. And so do you have a final thought? And I'm sorry, I'm looking down because I'm typing this into the field for comments so that people could go back. I'm trying to be more mindful of catching questions and comments while I'm doing the show. So do you have a final thought or word of encouragement that you'd like to share with parents today and the people watching?
Yes, just, it's better to try an attempt than to never try and just not know what's going to happen on the other side. Have faith that
Yeah.
what you're doing is you'll see some fruits from that labor in due time. But just keep on doing the good work that you're doing as parents. Try new things. Don't be afraid of challenges. Push through them. Show your children just how resilient and how strong you are.
And I totally agree. Thank you so much for spending your Fridays helping us to become more well-rounded and fortified. I hope you're all well. Again, thanks for coming and watching Managing Day to Day. We appreciate you, value your feedback, your questions. You can always reach out to me at Christina@mpunion.org, and I'm always accessible to help in any way that I can. So thank you again. Have a wonderful weekend. Goodbye, America's beautiful children. We love you.
Bye.
Peace, prosperity, blessing, and good health over you and your family. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.